Hi, this is Florian from lifesciencementor.com, and today I am talking about 12 crazy ideas. So, this is a part of my 180-day idea challenge, idea machine challenge rather, where I'm thinking about 10 or more ideas for various different topics. And last week I had the topic about how ideas are the new currency instead of money. And today I'm just coming up with 12 crazy ideas. So the first idea would be to celebrate Christmas in summer. Imagine people walk like that through the streets in July or August. SantaCon in July. So the reason why I propose that is certainly not to wage war on Christmas, because in fact Christmas is the nicest time of the year, one of the best times of the years, at least for me. And I love how everything calms down and you get time to reflect on the year, and people are just happy. I also see that there's a lot of consumerism going on. For many people, they don't really embrace the spirit of Christmas. It's just like delivering gifts, and you feel like obligated to give gifts, and that should never happen. And to a certain extent, that's of course up to you. I just think that maybe why not have a big summer party where, if you want, you can exchange gifts, but the whole notion of having a party in summer about Christmas would be to not make it all about gifts, but make about celebration and being outside and meeting with friends. And maybe that's a way to go. You can still have Christmas in to celebrate spiritual transition, but maybe the big party and all that kind of stuff better when other people are around and when there's great weather. So that's number one. Number two, a mandatory military or civil service for US citizens or for any citizen in the world, basically. That would have three advantages. One is that people would be a little more careful to talk about going to war if it's their own life that's on the line, right? So it's always easy to say we go to war here, here, and there, and it's soldiers that risk their life and not us. But in fact, if you would already raise a special tax for war, people would be less forthcoming with just going to a foreign country and just doing war. And yeah, I know, war is not done just for the fun of it, of course not. But I think waging a war is a more important decision to really carefully think about if you really want that. The second point is violence would not be an abstract concept anymore, right? Right now, people abhor violence because they're not used to it. You know, we all live inside cities, their civilization, and other people wage war and dole out violence on our behalf. So we become removed from violence, and then we prefer solutions that have no violence. It's often said that violence is not the solution to problems, when sometimes indeed it could be a solution, basically a pretty drastic solution. And if people get more used to violence, it means they are also, together with the first point, they would be more able to do an informed decision. Sometimes it's necessary to use violence to repel an invading force, and sometimes it is maybe not, just to just to meddle into the affairs of other countries that really our land or other lands don't have any interest in. That's number two. And number three, there are a lot of different trades to learn in the military. It's a practical reason, right? You can become an electrician. You can become like a truck driver. What else on my list? Cook, auto mechanic, carpenters. Those are all people that are that professions that you can learn in the military, and it certainly beats having a liberal arts degree in theater arts, which is great if you're really, really into that, but to get a job afterwards, not so good. But if you learn a trade, and you could do that in the military, then you'll basically always have a job. I mean, everyone needs electricians, everyone needs plumbers, everyone needs people just fix things. And in contrast to the a barista at Starbucks who probably comes from university with a liberal arts degree, tradesmen earn much more in a short amount of time of learning. So opening people the eyes to the trades is another side effect of mandatory military service. And if people don't want to go to the military for moral reasons, they can also do civil service instead, right? There's also healthcare, social institutions. That's all. Those people are all in need of nurses, or people do their help for them, right? And you learn, and a third way, you learn how to serve others, and that serving people directly is quite different from just thinking about concepts that could serve society in an academic job. Number 3, a flat tax. I rather have no income tax, but if you absolutely must, and there are examples of states in the US that manage without income tax. I think Nevada is one. Oklahoma maybe another one. But yeah, there's several of them. And they manage just well. So if you must do a tax, then do a flat tax. 25% for everyone. Get rid of the progressive taxation. Give people a great incentive to earn more money and to grow a company, to give other people places to work. If you don't get your income taxed, or not as much as in progressive taxation, then you'd have far more incentive to earn more money, right? So whether you earn $1 million per year or $10,000 a year, a flat tax 25% for everyone would just be fair. And I know, I mean, some people, if you get income from stocks or from a corporation, you pay less taxes on that, right? Then in fact your income tax can be, the total amount of that you pay in income tax can be very low if you don't really have a job but earn your money from a business. You could find ways around that, right? You can make a fair taxation for everyone, that everyone pays the same percentage, a flat tax. That would be, unfortunately, a crazy idea. It shouldn't be crazy. Number 4, speaking of companies, standing during meetings. You all know these meetings that just go on dreadfully long without getting anything finished. An hour of droning on, and great if these meetings are a breeze and are happy and fun, but most meetings aren't, and they're often a waste of time. So take the chairs out of the room, let people stand, and people would be eager to finish this in an efficient manner. Nobody would go on and on and on about their point. You're standing. Don't want to stand around in the landscape for nothing. So you'd be interested in making that meeting go faster. And on a different note there, Tim Ferriss has talked about having standing desks in school. We get used to a sedentary lifestyle. So we sit all the time. We get used to that in school already. We sit 85% of our time, and that's not healthy. So why instilling that in school? Probably better to control the students better, but let them stand, let them do let them learn whatever they want to learn, and that may mean let them stand. So standing desks in school may be another aspect of that idea. Number 5, live in the middle of a volcano. So people go to the deep sea, enormous water pressures. People think about living on the moon or on Mars. So people like living in extremes. They have hotels that are built in glaciers. There are people that actually live in rocks, people that live on the center of a volcano that has been active 200 years ago, not too long ago, basically. So if you find a way to get a material where you can construct an apartment or a hotel that sits at the bottom of an active volcano, that would be something interesting to see, and people could do direct research there also. People could do a vacation there, just looking out, seeing all the magma and lava. Why not? Crazy, it certainly is. Number 6, a portable force field generator that serves as an umbrella. You know, there's rain, and then we have a sturdy umbrella. That means we have a large umbrella, and the small umbrellas that we can put anywhere, they break with the first wind gust. So what's the solution to have a sturdy umbrella but small? Because if the umbrella is large, you tend to forget it everywhere. At least that happens to me. So you want to have a small umbrella that is sturdy and that you can put into your wallet or purse or into the pocket of your trousers. So what about having a portable force field generator, right? So you have a little device that generates a force field around you and shields you from the rain. And maybe even shield you from attackers, right? That would be an efficient means to propel anything physical away. I thought about rain. And you don't have to carry, you just have a small device, you click, starts, and you have a roof, an invisible roof over your head. Force field generators are starting to be built. There's a recent example of the military, of Boeing contracting a force field generator, which is used on military vehicles. Basically, if a motion detector realizes there is an explosion going on, realizes vibrations, it would set up a plasma field in the direction of the shock wave, and this ionic plasma field would block away most of the shock wave. So that wouldn't prevent you from solid objects going through, but it would prevent you from some forces that are already at play. And maybe that's the first step to actually developing a force field that we only know from science fiction. It may be reality in a couple of decades. Number 7, seed life on an uninhabited planet. So that reminds me of Star Trek, where they rejuvenated Spock at the beginning of episode 3 by using the Genesis project of sparking life on any uninhabited planet. That is far-fetched future ideas, but some bacteria and even multicellular organisms, they actually thrive and survive on without oxygen. And in extreme conditions at the bottom of geysers, hot springs, even in sulfuric environments, you have bacteria that survive there. So you can envision bacteria thriving without oxygen on an uninhabited planet like Mars. And then you can use those, if you can tap into an energy source, those bacteria could actually produce energy that you can then use to drive your colony, for example. And you can also observe how life develops freshly seeded on a new planet. Number 8, mandate carrying weapons. So the Second Amendment in the US says that the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. So what if you mandate bearing arms? I'm not sure. I thought I heard about that. There's one county in New Mexico where you have to carry guns. I just heard that from a friend, so I checked. I haven't found any proof online that there is such a county. I might just not have searched well enough. So if you're from that county, let me know. But the idea is that an armed society is a polite society, as Heinlein noted. Because if you realize that the other person might carry a gun, you think about your action a little bit more. And if everyone carries a gun, then the incident of gun-related crimes may actually drop, as it's often the case in states that allow you to carry guns. There's less crime, and of course it's a big controversy. But I would just be curious to see what happens if everyone has to wear guns. Right? Would we be better off? And would we be more in danger or less in danger of being, of having government control? So that would be an interesting experiment. Number 9, cut off public funding for basic science. So first of all, basic science is in the US funded by the national agencies of National Science Foundation, NSF, by the Department of Defense, by the National Institute of Health, and also by private sources, philanthropic organizations, private donors, crowdfunding. Those are all avenues to fund science that are not directly from public funds. And if you take away all the public funds, I suspect that then basic science becomes a lot more accountable to the wishes of those that fund the research, as it should be. So spending 20 years or so in public science in academia, basically you get the funding for science based on the quality of your research. How do you measure the quality of research? The quality of research is actually measured through the amount of papers, peer-reviewed publications that you put out. Who reviews these publications? Peers, other scientists. Who decides if the study ultimately is published? The journal editors. And who are the journal editors? Fellow scientists often. And if you think about how the traditional media and academic political establishment is actually behind the pulse of society and operates in a room where they can actually dictate which stories they put out for society, which not, they are huge gatekeepers. And the same is certainly true for science. So if you would cut off public funding, then that would be one way to take away the control of the middleman. How? Because now the people that fund the science, they are much closer involved with wanting to get the public, wanting to have the science be a success. Scientists cannot rely on getting public funds that the taxpayer puts into a big pot of money and then is distributed. No, they would have to do fundraising directly. And of course, you would have people at institutions that do the fundraising. Sure, so the scientists can really focus on doing the science. But they would have to be much more accountable to the public. There would be less funding, yes, but the funding would be for projects that are actually more likely to yield reliable results. So it's one idea. And then there are people who say the evidence is not only that public funding to science is patching results. There are people who say public funding yields great results, a great return on investment. 3 examples. Google grew from a governmentally funded project. The Manhattan Project was funded by the government, where the US developed the nuclear bombs. And the Apollo space program was also funded through NASA, through the Department of Defense, also public funding. So public funding can also have a huge upside, right? So in that case, the next idea would be to give 1,000% more public funds to science, right? So I have both ideas out there: cut off funding and increase funding astronomically, and then we can decide what's the best way to fund science, that the projects have a tangible return of investment. Because most scientists say, basic research, everyone provides just a little piece of the puzzle, and then after 10 or 20 years, it all comes together as a huge project. But, the reality is that a lot of science is not yielding any tangible results, and we can decide whether that's a good thing or whether that's just unjustified bleeding of funds in a very inefficient way to invest funds, public funds. Whoever has private funds can always put money into science. If you have science as a hobby, why not? I mean, right? If you're financially independent, you can do science on whatever topic you like, and maybe even on topics that are relevant to society. But then you pay it with your own money, and there's no risk to the public of bearing the costs. Number 11. Speaking of science, release mosquitoes incapable of transmitting malaria. So you can edit the genomes of organisms now relatively easily. And when scientists edited mosquitoes, changed the genome of mosquitoes that they couldn't transmit any malaria anymore, and then mixed them with with wild-type population mosquitoes that could still transmit malaria, the non-malaria mosquitoes simply outbred the ones that that were able of transmitting malaria. No idea why that was the case, but that's what people observed. So one radical idea could be to just release those tame mosquitoes into the wild, and then they outbreed the native mosquito population. It's not without risk, right? It's not genetically modified plants that cannot walk away, right? You have them in your field. The crops will not walk away. The mosquitoes will fly away and travel far and away, and there are certain dangers with that. But it's certainly a great idea to release mosquitoes and cure malaria once and for all, right? Of course, then so in Africa you have people that have sickle cell anemia, or you have them worldwide, where the blood erythrocytes are not as efficient of transporting oxygen because they're sickle shaped, and there's a disease called sickle anemia, I think, and it's of course not beneficial to have that disease. Yet these sickle cell anemia patients cannot get malaria. So in Africa, certain regions of the world where there's an abundance of malaria, you have an evolutionary advantage for people with sickle cell anemia. And if you would take away the malaria, what would happen to those populations, right? So probably you just have sickle cell anemia as a problem again, and that gets spread out as well because those people are not very efficient in all aspects of life. But still, this is just one example of how different ecosystems are hanging together, right? So certainly release mosquitoes incapable of transmitting malaria has been around as an idea. It's crazy enough to be warranted to be taken up here, and maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but we should really talk about that. And number 12, cure extremism by putting drugs into the water. Now, that's an outright sinister idea, because it means that the government can control the emotions of their citizens, and then it can just feed them whatever the government wants, can feed down people's throats. I still put that idea in there just to think about the possibility, right? Which is scary enough. And then take one step further. If you think about our current situations where a couple of corporations basically run a society, you don't need a conspiracy theory. You don't need a group of Bilderberg people meeting at Bilderberg meetings or any of these conspiracy theories. It doesn't need to be a secretive group, not with an evil intent. It can be just the bottom line of the company. It makes sense. Smart people come together, form mastermind groups, and they do that more or less out in the open. It's just coordinating their efforts to make more money. And if some of them own media outlets, they will write in the media anything that is beneficial to the other corporations, or setting an agenda that allows the corporations to have more people to buy their stuff. And that happens right in front of our eyes. And you can also have then schools that have almost all children of the population, and they'll indoctrinate them early on. Coming back to an earlier idea on today's very video or blog post, sitting in school. So if I want people that get used to the idea of eating a lot of snacks, or maybe also getting a lot of diet products that I can then sell, it may make sense to me to give some donation to the government so that the government can buy a lot of really comfy chairs for students, right? So they really get used to the sedentary lifestyle, which makes later on my life easier as a company to sell to these people. It is a smart business decision. Is that really a sinister? It's just a good idea, right? Is it a sinister idea that aims in controlling people? No, not if you don't look at the health side effects, right? But it's tough to say something innocuous like that is evil, and it's not even thought in evil spirit. But yet you see how easy it is to manipulate a whole population into buying one specific product, or to get them consume more, um, that benefits you in the end as the company. So that is something we should really think about, and that's why I put that as a crazy idea out there. It's unfortunately not as crazy anymore. You don't need to put anything into the drinking water. You indoctrinate people in school already, and make the consumer lifestyle a cool lifestyle, and promote everything that is in favor of consumerism. Right? So that's it. 12 ideas. I hope you enjoyed it. I wish you a great start on the week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time. And if you enjoyed this video, click on like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment on the video, on my blog. I reply to every comment. I'm happy. So far I got several comments that were really stimulating and making me think, stimulating my mind and make me think of new ways. So always appreciate it. Thank you very much for being with me, and see you again next time.